Hello everybody, my name is Tanya and welcome to my Art Creations channel. And what I have for you today and what I'm going to show you are the techniques that I use to create this icy winter white owl using mostly watercolors and some colored pencils, some acrylic markers, and some gel pens, and a lot of fun techniques to create this textured, colorful owl. I hope you guys enjoy it and inspires you to try one yourself. So the colors I used for watercolor is Prussian blue and neutral tint. And then I use Gamboge for the lights and Winsor red for his little cap. I use salt, some bleed-proof white, which you could use gouache if you would like, a white gel pen, a white acrylic pen, a black marker, and some colored pencils, red, white, yellow, and blue. I'll put the colors in the description. I used a variety of different shapes of brushes, and I think that is about it besides my paper. So I started with a 6x6 sheet of cold pressed watercolor paper, and I'm using Fabriano for this. And then I have a scrap piece of paper, and what I'm doing is basically I am drawing my owl, how I want the owl positioned on my paper. And it's just a rough sketch of what I was wanting the owl to look like. As you can see, it changed. But anyway, so I cut that out. So what I'm doing is I'm creating a template of my owl. And what I'm going to do is basically use that template for my salt effect for the owl. So first I'm going to be starting off with my background colors though, and they're going to be wet on wet. So I'm wetting down the paper pretty well with water. And I'm going to be starting off with the lights first. And for the lights, I'm going to be using Gamboge. So I got a mixture of the Gamboge right there with some water, and I'm just dropping in that color where I want the lights to be. Now you don't have to use Gamboge, you could use whatever yellow you have. So this is wet on wet, so just dropping in where I would like those lights. And I'm kind of positioning that template over there just so I kind of keep an eye on where I want my owl to be. And then I've got my mixture of Prussian blue and neutral tint and just putting a nice mixture of that around my lights and around the edges. I do try to keep the area where the owl is going to be a little bit lighter because I want the owl to have a, of course, an icy white look to it. So I'm keeping the area where the owl is going to be just a tad lighter than the outside edges and around the lights. So I keep on adding more pink because I did want the background to be pretty dark, and of course watercolor does dry lighter, so I just keep on adding more layers of the paint to where I thought it was pretty much dark enough. Okay, so I got the background, highlighted it, and then I took my mixture of bleed-proof white there. I have bleed-proof white sorry, mixed with water, and then I'm using my fan brush while the background's still wet and just sprinkling in some of that bleed-proof white around the edges. Next is the salt. So you want to make sure that it's wet how you want the background to be wet, of course, before you add the salt. Not super wet, not dry, kind of that in between stage there. And I'm using that as a template, as you can see, and I'm sprinkling my salt over that very carefully, trying not just to, spread the salt too much. And there it is dry. So it dried pretty nicely, and that's the effect I got from the salt. And I scraped it all off there. I'm going to make sure all that salt's off of there before you start painting the owl. Now this owl is part of my Owl of the Month series that I have. And this one, of course, is for December. I do have this series on a playlist, so please feel free to check out the other ones that I have on there too. So here I am. I'm just using a regular pencil to sketch in his eyes because that's probably the most hardest part for me and for most people, is to figure out where you want the eyes, how big, and all that stuff. So I thought I'd better sketch out his eyes instead of just trying to wing it, and they turn out kind of wonky. So I'm starting with the hat. I'm going to paint the hat in first. I'm re-wetting that area where the hat is going to be, and kind of just dabbing it, as you can see, kind of just getting some of the color off of there basically before I add some of that blue that's on there, before I add my red. And I'm going to use the Winsor red for the hat. So just kind of add a little bit of water, dabbed it off just to kind of take some of that color off there, and then come back with the red. And here's what I'm doing to the eyes. I'm doing the same thing, just re-wetting and dabbing off a little bit of that color there. And then doing the same thing for the little pom-pom on the end of the hat. So for the eyes, I'm using Cerulean hue, and I forgot to add that in the beginning. I'm so sorry. So Cerulean hue for the eyes. And I will add that to the description though of the colors. And then for the beak, I just the mixture that I have mixed up of the Prussian blue and the neutral tint. Then I took my mixture of Prussian blue and neutral tint and added a little bit of the Gamboge, which you can see creates kind of a darker olivey green. And I'm just kind of twirling in the branch, doing it not sketched in, just kind of where I think the branch would be. And then the little claws. And now I took my mixture of the bleed-proof white, and I'm just painting in the lights, the bright part of the lights, which would be the center of the lights there. And then taking that bleed-proof white that I had mixed with some water, and just taking the side of my brush, as you can see, and just kind of dragging it down to create a snow effect over the branch. I'm putting a little bit of that bleed-proof white in there for the pom-pom of the hat. also using the bleed-proof white for the trim of the hat. Now, if you don't have bleed-proof white, you can use white gouache. That would work out well, which I do use white gouache a lot of the time. You could also use white watercolor, but white watercolor is not as opaque. You could also use acrylic paint if you have acrylic paint. So next thing is I wanted to brighten up those lights, add a little bit of an orangey tone. So I took a mixture of the Gamboge and the Winsor red and just painted that around those white lights. And now I'm taking, it was the neutral tint and Prussian blue and outlining the eyes. Of course, you want to do this when it is dry. Okay, added some details to the little claws, and now I did that with the bleed-proof white. Now I'm using my gel pen to add some cute design details to the cap. I really loved how the salt effect created that little kind of ice crystals look on the owl, but I wanted to make a little bit more definition of the owl, shape of the owl. So I'm just taking my white gel pen here and just adding little flick marks just so you can see the outline of the owl a little bit more, and added a little bit of dots here and there. Next is my Posca pen, just to add some more cute little details to the cap. And then I wanted to add some details to the eyes, so I'm using my gel pen there. It's got a finer tip to add some eyelashes and some dots to the eyes. I wanted to make a little string for the lights, so I have this fine tipped marker. It's actually a gel pen. So I'm just adding a really fine string, swirly string there to the lights. And I'm coming back with my Posca pen to add a little bit of more kind of like snowy details to the birdie. Now, I probably could have skipped this step here and just gone straight to my bleed-proof white, but I did start with my Posca pen doing this. You will see I did go a little bit crazy with my with my bleed-proof white here near the end. I just went crazy with it to add a bunch of snow. But you know, I could have just left it at this. I think at this point of time in the painting, I think it would have looked well enough. But hey, I want more snow. So here I come with a lot of that bleed-proof white mixture, adding more snow. I'm kind of using just the side of my brush there to create the snow. I don't use bleed-proof white very much, but when I do, I really use it a lot. And I'm adding a little bit of the highlight there with the bleed-proof white to the light strings, to the string of lights, to the string of the lights, I should say. And then I thought, hey, the lights need to have some snow on them too. So I added more snow. Just adding more details. And then I ended with a little bit of splatter there with the bleed-proof white. I think that is the last of the bleed-proof white. So next is the colored pencils, and these are Prismacolors, I believe. And lately I've been really enjoying using colored pencils with watercolor. So here I'm just kind of taking my white and just kind of lightly going around the edges of the owl and on the cap to create that soft look that you get with colored pencils, you know, with watercolor. I really like that soft look that you get with it. And just kind of going around the owl. This is a cold press watercolor paper with tooth on it, so you do get that kind of that effect with pencils. Now I took the red, little round circles for the rosy cheeks, and then I take the white and go back over the red with the white. It creates this pretty pink color, as you can see when you do that. I really liked the way that was looking, the little pink rosy cheeks. And then yellow, and going around the lights, wherever you think there might be a yellow glow. I'm just kind of doing that with the yellow colored pencil. eyes, I take this blue, just went in the eyes just a little bit to add more depth to the eyes. And then went into the black of the pupils just a little. I thought, oh, maybe a little bit too much. So I do go back with the black, with some of the watercolor, just to add more definition to the pupils again. But I like the way how the pencils created that kind of soft look for the owl's eyes. Almost looks kind of crystally. And you could use a gel pen or whatever to make the pupils, black again. Then I took that same blue color and just colored in a few of the white snowflakes. Some of the white splatter that I had added to the paper, and this also some of the there was a few that the salt created also that I kind of went over with the blue just to add some blue pop. I thought it looked really pretty in the background there.
What did you guys think of the appliance?
Add a little bit more white touches with the pencil. And that is it. I hope you guys like this owl of the month, December icy, cold white owl. Please like and subscribe if you haven't. I really appreciate that a lot. And I'll see you soon with the next video. Bye-bye.